the last few years, the technology revolution has created many new challenges for public schools, their teachers, and the institutions of higher learning dedicated to producing new teachers. This is the story of how one institution, the Graduate School of Education at the University of California, Riverside, grappled with the opportunities, challenges, and state-mandated requirements of educational technology in the context of an established professional school. UCR's Teaching Credential program uses a professional development model that places groups of student teachers at public school sites to work with their faculty supervisor and a team of experienced teachers throughout the public school year. Unique to UCR's model are the level of integration of learning and teaching practice and the small learning cohorts guided by supervisors who work with their students all year and who also teach the methods courses. Though UCR's professional model has worked well and has received national recognition, the emergence over the past decade of new teaching technologies and new requirements for teacher credential candidates to demonstrate technology competency meant changes had to occur.
I knew how to do email, and I watched my kids on the computer, but I really didn't know much about that. And then to try to figure out that I was going to need to change my ways of practicing to influence my student teachers, I was just really intimidated.
Before StarTEC, I was one of the people who avoided computer use. I'd grown up in the non-computer world, and my background was pretty much without the use of computers. And it was very intimidating to me to go into the StarTEC training and know I had to somehow become involved in computers.
In California, the state requires technology requirements of teachers in order to get their credential, besides teaching competencies and behavior management competencies. And so that was something that was really lacking in our program. We were teaching it that, okay, do a PowerPoint and present it to other students in the class, but not necessarily take that into your classroom. And so we weren't being very effective in training teachers to use technologies with kids.
We had tried to implement some changes into our credential program and the way that the teachers were trained to use technology. We anticipated that there would be a new standard coming that would require a lot of changes. And we really failed in our attempt to make those changes, and there were a couple reasons for that. One was that the supervisors who we, in our new model, were expecting to train their student teachers and interns and to evaluate their use of technology they weren't able to do that. They didn't have the skills. They hadn't been trained. And a second reason was that the supervisors really looked at this as an added responsibility, that it was being added to what they were already doing with the student teachers in their classrooms and in their methods classes. So they were, I guess you would say, they were unwilling participants.
Fortuitously, in 1999, the same year as the new technology requirements were adopted by the state, the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing invited UCR to participate with two other universities in a Preparing Tomorrow's Teachers Today, or PT3, grant called StarTEC. The 3-year StarTEC grant provided funding for these institutions to develop model programs for the integration of new technologies into teacher training that would satisfy the new standards.
When we became involved in StarTEC, the supervisors were provided the skills. They received skills training, but they also learned about integrating technology into the curriculum, and they were able to pass that on to their student teachers. They were also able to model it in their own classes, and this really was the goal of StarTEC.
As you know, it's a 3-year program, and the first year we spent really getting all of the instructors up to speed in using the technology, and the second year we looked at each of the standards and saw how we could use them in our own program to enhance our program and also to address the standards at the same time. And I thought it was very successful. And one of the unintended benefits was that it really created a community of learners.
StarTEC made the supervisors participants in the change. And they helped us by working as a group through all the 3 years of StarTEC workshops to come up with the best way to change our credential program so that we could implement what we needed to help our student teachers and interns meet the new technology standard.
At the end of the first year of StarTEC, faculty supervisors began to implement key changes in UCR's credential program. After reviewing all the state competency standards, the supervisors agreed that a large number of the technology training standards could be integrated into methods courses and seminars they taught. Though the GSOE already had a technology course that addressed all the standards, supervisors agreed that it would make the most sense to teach technology integration in classes where it could be modeled. It was essential that all methods courses contain a significant element of technology training, and that the training would be integrated into teaching practice through the cohorts. The supervisors would evaluate their students' competencies in the methods classes and at their teaching sites.
Because the new technology standard focuses on integration instead of skills, it really didn't make sense to teach technology to our credential students in a separate class. It was really almost a contradiction for them to go into a separate classroom to learn about integrating technology into the curriculum. And because of this, and through the 3 years of our StarTEC workshops and discussions, we moved most of the requirements for the technology standard out of that separate class and into the work that the supervisors did with their student teachers and interns. They really focused on the competencies that had to do with using technology in teaching.
The wonderful thing is now it's very integrated. The students get the support from their technology course, but we give them the opportunities and integrate it throughout the curriculum with us as the supervisors. The wonderful thing is it's not like I don't know what they're talking about, because I've had the same training that they have, and even beyond that, I'm able to successfully integrate the technology and encourage the students and model it and show the cooperating teachers, look at the great stuff that technology can open up for you in your classroom.
At the same time, intensive workshops at UCR gave faculty supervisors the opportunity to become competent in all the technology standards they would need to train and evaluate their students.
We really benefited in our StarTEC experience by having the same trainer throughout the 3 years of our project. We had Jim Beeler, who came from Apple Professional Development, and having a single person come to every workshop brought a lot of continuity to our training.
Some of the best features of the training were having one consultant that stayed with us through the 3 years so that we didn't lose any time trying to bring the consultant up to speed with what we knew and what we didn't know.
Fortunately, Jim Beeler was our StarTEC guy, and he made everybody feel very comfortable. And just starting off, where he did an assessment of our level of knowledge, and I have to say that I was at the very lowest level of computer knowledge and comfort. But there were other people in there that were in my same position, so that gave me some comfort. And then as we went along, Jim was able to make sense of the training. It made sense to me, and take us in small steps so that we weren't avalanched in too much technology that we couldn't manage it. So.
During year 2, the TRIO concept was emphasized to make sure that the continuum of integrated technology implementation remained robust from supervisor to student teacher or intern to mentor teacher to the classroom. A 2-day TRIO workshop brought together teams that consisted of a supervisor, a mentor teacher, and a student teacher working together to establish joint responsibilities for competencies and developing appropriate technology-rich units of practice that could be implemented in the classroom where the credential student was teaching at that time. K-12 teachers learned what was expected of student teachers by the university and state, and the supervisors learned what mentor teachers expected in their classrooms.
The TRIO Institute, my role in the TRIO Institute is as a cooperating teacher. And I've worked with my student teacher and other supervisors here at University of California, Riverside to develop units of practice and learning how to integrate technology into my program.
Great. And then once you went back to your classroom, the pre-service teacher would try to implement part of that unit?
Well, actually, one of the workshops that I attended as one of the TRIO workshops was to, along with my student teacher, design a unit of practice. And several weeks after attending the workshop with my student teacher, we put that unit of practice into work in our classroom.
Wonderful. And was the pre-service teacher able to lead parts of that?
The pre-service teacher taught every lesson that we designed together, and it was part of her 2 weeks in charge, and it was a science unit on the human skeletal system. So my student teacher was able to implement every aspect of the unit of practice that we put together at the workshop.
Each supervisor invited one student teacher and that student's current cooperating teacher to spend 2 days together to work on a unit of practice to develop a curriculum unit that integrated technology. And that would be a unit that would actually be used in the classroom in the coming months. And we found that to be a really valuable experience for all three participants to learn how to work together, to benefit from each other's skills and knowledge and what they brought, but also to see what the barriers were that each of these people faced.
In the final year of StarTEC at UCR, an apprentice model was developed to more efficiently and economically spread the benefits of technology training throughout the cohort.
We found that many of the student teachers and interns were quite willing to be the apprentice because they were getting one-on-one training and they were getting additional help. And the trade-off was that they had some responsibility to help their peers in their cohort. And we found that to be a really useful and effective way of providing additional support to the supervisors.
Each summer, the StarTEC project holds 2 summer schools for high school general education and middle school special education students. These training sessions held on the UCR campus introduce students to the university and provide an opportunity for university and K-12 StarTEC participants to test new technology strategies and teaching effectiveness with K-12 students.
The students really have a lot of self-confidence when it comes to working with technology now. The district puts out some classes for teachers on working with technology, and I bring in the brochure and say, look, teachers take classes on computers and how to turn it on and PowerPoint, and they laugh because they know they could probably teach those classes to teachers. And that's exciting for them to see that they could teach teachers stuff, and they know more not only than the students here at Schmo, than the teachers too. And that's helped them when they go into a mainstream classroom. They feel confident, they feel equal, they feel like they belong, and so that's been exciting to see as well.
One of the benefits, I think, to our StarTEC experience has been the involvement of the K-12 teachers in our workshops and in our summer school program. We have had a number of our cooperating teachers who have student teachers in their classrooms come to our training and are trained along with our supervisors and faculty. We benefit from each other.
A requirement of the technology course is now to develop an electronic portfolio that utilizes the technology student teachers have mastered and is used to summarize their philosophy and style of teaching for potential employers.
In a cap and gown, so to catch your eye and know that we're talking about school here. The next thing on my portfolio is, of course, a table of contents, so you're aware of what's in the portfolio. But the next slide that I have here is an introduction of myself. On here, I thought it was really important to start with this introduction because it could tell the reader who I am and kind of how it is that I organize my portfolio. The next section is the California State Standards of the teaching profession, and I've summarized each standard and given a description of how it is that I've seen the standard practiced in the classroom, and also how I've been practicing the standards myself in my experience this past year.
StarTEC has had a profound influence on the way student teachers are taught at UCR and on their confidence and effectiveness as teachers.
Students, no matter what they're student teaching, have been able to use technology in a very productive way with students. And it's made a world of difference. How student teachers are teaching and the resources that they have today as compared with just 3 or 4 years ago. It's just a quantum leap. It's amazing.
I think StarTEC has served to actually link the different components of the teacher education program together quite well. It's established kind of a common language where we can all talk, those of us who teach the methods courses, those of us who teach the 100 pre-professional foundation courses, those of us who work in the supervisory series are all dealing with common goals and objectives now, and the technology is kind of that pulling together for us. I've had probably more direct contact with working with School of Education faculty at all levels through this project than through any other that I've participated in the past.
And my students, although entering my classroom in the fall feeling very incompetent with regards to technology, leave at the end of the spring quarter in June very, very competent. In fact, I tell them by the time they hit the school sites where they were hired, that they will end up being the technology gurus at their sites because they know more than the majority of the staff members at their sites, and they will then be looked upon as the authorities, the ones to come to when it comes to doing iMovies, or electronic portfolios, PowerPoint, anything, as they implement it not only just in their classroom, but in lessons, and actually have students then integrating with the technology.
We were able to ask our trainer to spend a lot of time with us on how do you work in a one computer classroom. How do you work when you don't have a video projector? What happens when you don't have the internet connected in your classroom? And we learned a lot of tools that helped our supervisors and also helped the student teachers and interns to not give up and to see that technology integration was far more important than the quality of the materials and the equipment that they had available to them.
StarTEC has been the mechanism through which significant change has occurred to the way teachers are trained by the Graduate School of Education to make effective use of technology in their teaching. This was the goal the GSOE had hoped to achieve in the course of its involvement with StarTEC, and that goal has been fully realized.